Hi, this is a presentation on data compression. My name is Lorenzo Chua and I will be your guide throughout the discussion. So here's the mathematical framework of our discussion. We will first discuss on the history of data compression. Then afterwards, we will discuss on what data compression is, how it is accomplished, the two main types, as well as the impact of data compression. Next, we will be discussing data compression and cryptography together, along with their similarities and differences, and their integration and application with each other. Lastly, we will also be having a live demonstration on how to compress data using WinRAR. So let's begin on the history of data compression. Before we start with that, I would like to present a quote from Martin Luther King. He once said, and I quote, "We are not makers of history. We are made by history." So in 1000 BC, data compression was already very much evident. In what is assumed as the very first form of data compression, we are shown here, right here, is shorthand writing. In the 1800s, with the invention of Braille, data compression was also evident. Braille is used as a form of reading and writing for the visually impaired, such as the blind. It is still very much in use to this day. Next, still in the 1800s, we have the Morse code, which encodes text into shorter signals. Unlike Braille, it is used up to this day, but to lesser extent. Then in the 70s, data compression first fully emerged into the computing scene, especially with the LZ77 and LZ78 algorithms, which can also be known as the Lempel-Ziv algorithms. Next, in the 80s, there were a lot of innovations in data compression, some of which are FACS, image files such as JPEG, and a form of video file or motion video compression called the MPEG. Next, from the 90s up to the early 2000s. So during the 90s up to the early noughts, we had satellite TV, digital TV, and HD TV. Other than that, we also had the emergence of new formats such as DVD and the MP3, with the MP3 still very much in use up to this day. During this era, we also had the zip file and the RAR file. So let us move on. So what is data compression? As said, data compression is just the rendering of data in a much more condensed form. In computing, it is commonly used for reasons such as storage and transmission efficiency. At its core, data compression is just a way to utilize data and resources in a more cost-efficient and storage-efficient method. The data that is compressed is commonly thought of as any piece of information, and it is most likely digital when it comes to computing. It is usually one or more of the following: audio, video, image, text, and some more. So before the data is compressed, the data pre-compression can also be called as the source or the source data. So now let us discuss on how data compression is done. So data compression can be done in plenty of different methods. But at its core, data compression is done by encoding or rewriting the information or data in a shorter form than its original. So here is an example using the run length coding method. See this example right here. It can easily be shortened to this one right here. It can be shortened to A, 6H, J, 5E, 2R, 3M, and 2W. Once again, this example is achieved using the run length coding method. So now let us move on to the two types of data compression. There are two types of data compression, and divided they are lossy data compression, and lossless data compression. Lossy data compression, as implied, loses data, while in lossless, you do not lose data. So now let us discuss lossy data compression. Lossy compression is called lossy because, as I recently said, the compressed form will lose some of its original data, or at the very least will induce some very insignificant errors, while trying to revert it back to its original state. But any loss in the original data has little to no impact, virtually insignificant, as the losses are generally very small due to the file type that lossy compression is often used. Lossy compression is usually accepted when compressing images and video and audio files, since a small loss on sound frequency or a tiny loss on the video quality is not as noticeable compared to a text document that can be lacking letters or even full words. On the other hand, we have lossless data. In lossless data compression, there will be no loss or removal of data during the compression process. It can be reverted to still contain the entirety of its original content, without fear of small errors or any loss of data at all. This is mostly applied into text information, numeric information, computer codes, and the like, as any small loss, while it may seem insignificant to audio and image outputs, are obvious and will make text information, numeric data, and computer codes very much unusable. So now let's discuss the impact of data compression. Data compression, wait, let me go back. Data compression at its core is all about trying to improve the effectiveness and productivity of transmitting and processing data. And as such, data compression has had a big hand in helping improve data and information in this age. It is evident in the amount of file formats available to this day, such as JPEG, PNG, MP3, MP4, ZIP, and even more. Data compression has had a very big impact on our music, movies, and art. As recently said, plenty of these are stored in file formats such as JPEG, PNG, MP3, MP4, and more. Data compression has also helped in the advancement of data and file transmission, as smaller files can require lower bandwidth and storage for transmission and processing. But as with all that is good, data compression has also been abused, as various file formats are commonly used and utilized in piracy and torrenting in the internet. It has also been used for the transmission and storage of illegal documents and activity. So now let us discuss data compression and cryptography. So first, let us discuss cryptography. Cryptography, and most particularly encryption, is used for hiding information or data, mainly due to privacy concerns or security concerns. Some advanced schemes can offer more versatility than the basic forms of cryptography, or particularly encryption. Lastly, in cryptography, algorithms are not hidden, and they also warrant the integrity of the said data and information. On the other hand, we have compression. Compression employs algorithms that take advantage of things, very small things actually, such as the repetitive nature of data, in order to minimize the space taken by said data. This can be achieved in a number of different ways. It can be achieved by strictly minimizing or removing insignificant parts, such as frequency and slight quality of files. Data compression does not intentionally hide data, but is still capable of doing so. So, compression and cryptography together. Compression and cryptography, actually more particularly encryption, can be utilized together A very prime example of this is by initially compressing data which you intend to encrypt. This will make for safer and smaller files, smaller file sizes, and safer and much more secure files. This is achieved by reducing the plain text of the source code, which will definitely make decryption harder. So now we will be having a live demonstration on how to compress data using WinRAR. So first, here, let us go to our File Explorer. Take a look at this file right here, this screenshot file. Simply left-click on the file right here, and you will see this icon. It's like a book. You can easily pick here, add to screenshot 291.rar, since you will convert it to a RAR file. Let's pick that. Now let's move on to our WinRAR, and you can see that it has now been added to our RAR files right here. Now for easily decompressing RAR files, you can use WinRAR right here, or you can also use other mediums such as Windows, which can use zip files. But for this example, we will be using WinRAR. So to decompress a file, just left-click on a file, and you will easily see right here, you can extract it to a specified folder, or you can extract it without confirmation. So let's extract it without confirmation. And just like that, it has already been extracted into a folder. Again, you can do it just as easily by clicking and extracting it to a folder. You can specify, or you can just extract it without any confirmation. It's just that easy to compress and decompress files using WinRAR, which is free, though you can buy it with a license, but it is actually essentially free. So before we end, I would like to show you this quote by W. Edwards Deming. "In God we trust, and in all others we must bring data." So once again, I am Lorenzo Chua, and thank you for sitting through this presentation on data compression.